Hey Book Dragons, I'm so glad you joined me on the channel today. I'm going to be doing a book review, and the book I'm going to talk about today is Death of a Christmas Tree Salesman by Patricia Meredith. I was introduced to Patricia Meredith by BookTube. She's a self-published author of cozy historical mysteries. And the first book I read from her just ticked all the boxes for me, Butcher, Baker, Candlestick Taker, and just a wonderful story. She reminded me so much of Agatha Christie, but she has her own unique flair as well. And I just can't recommend that book enough. And so when she came out with this book last December, I was like, oh wow, a mystery set around Christmas time. And the more I read about it, I just absolutely fell in love with the premise, and I had to own it. So I bought this last year. I haven't had a chance to read it yet until just this month, and I'm so glad I did, guys. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. I'll briefly mention the sequel at the end of the video so you guys can check that one out as well. And here we go. Death of a Christmas Tree Salesman follows Sam Shovel, who is a snowman that comes to life for 12 days every Christmas. And it just so happens that he gets called on to solve a murder that has just happened at the North Pole. And in case you're wondering, yes, this book is chock full of allusions to all of your favorite Christmas songs and Christmas stories, your favorite Christmas movies. You've got allusions to Frosty the Snowman and Rudolph. And I kind of picture Sam Shovel as the talking snowman from the Rudolph movie. Now that's probably not accurate, but that's who I pictured when I was reading this book. And Frosty as well. I kind of pictured kind of a mashup of the two, and that made this story a lot of fun. And I found myself at times reminiscing about those movies and stories and some of the Christmas songs that I know and love so well as I was reading the book, and it would just randomly have a quote as part of the dialogue from one of those songs. So like, a tree in the Grand Hotel, one in the park as well. This book was chock full of references, and that just made it all the merrier. See what I did there? Huh? And another thing that I really loved is the subtle nods to other classic movies, like Casablanca and the Thin Man movies. If you have never watched the Thin Man movies, it follows a detective couple named Nick and Nora Charles. And in this story, the Clauses are Nick and Nora Claus. And I just really appreciated those nods for people who have watched a lot of older movies like myself. I'm kind of an old soul. I really love older movies, and those are some of my favorites. So I really appreciated that she kind of tossed in little things like that to add flavor to the book. And I don't know if this was intentional as an Easter egg, but there's even a candlestick taker in the book. So I thought that was super fun because her first book involves a candlestick taker. So I thought that was super cute. And I just really appreciate all the little nods and Easter eggs that were thrown into this book to give the book some life. And not only is the book really charming and colorful, it's also really smart and clever. Every culture around the world in this story has its own Santa Claus, or its own version of Santa Claus. And as you go throughout the book, you're going to learn about these different cultures and the different ways that their Santas act and relate to the other Santa Clauses. And you're going to learn about different foods from those cultures and how they celebrate the holidays. So it's a historical mystery, right? So it's going to have some of those historical elements in there. And I thought it was just really awesome how that was weaved into the story. I learned a lot about other Santa cultures, if you will, from reading this book. It was a lot of fun. And of course, you've got some of those recipes at the end of the book. So if you get really hungry throughout the book, which you will, I promise you, you've got recipes at the end that you can go into your kitchen and make to curb your hunger. So I thought that was really cool. She loves to include recipes in her books, and I thought that was fantastic. It just made this a really well-rounded holiday treat. Oh, see what I did there? Okay, we'll move on. Part of what I found really clever about this story is her unique take on how presents are delivered. For one thing, you've got all these different Santa Clauses in all the different cultures around the world. So it's not just one Santa Claus that's having to do everything. It's a whole bunch of Santa Clauses around the world that are working together to get presents delivered. But then you've also got technology thrown into the mix, like the S-Anta technology. And I'm not going to say what that is. You have to read the book and find out for yourself. But I thought it was a really clever way to explain how presents are delivered around the world instantaneously in one night. And I just appreciated that so much. It was completely unique and different, and it made sense in a fictional world anyway. It makes sense. And I just love the way that Patricia Meredith has stretched the boundaries of what happens on Christmas Eve. So now let's get down to the nitty-gritty. Would I recommend this book to you? Absolutely. I think it is just such a fun, cozy, charming book that is full of a lot of unique ideas, and it's a really great, fun little mystery as well. And she kept me guessing the entire time as to who the culprit was. And getting to the end of the book and finding out the solution to the mystery, I'm like, well, I didn't see that coming. So she pulled it off in perfect mystery form. I was just so happy with the solution, and everything made sense. And I highly recommend this book to you guys. If you're looking for a cozy Christmas read, look no further than Death of a Christmas Tree Salesman. And even in the title, there's a subtle nod there, right? Because you've got your old classic story, Death of a Salesman, and now we've got Death of a Christmas Tree Salesman. So I love that little nod as well. So I would put this in my soaring tier. This is absolutely at the top of my list for Christmas recommendations and books that are rereadable for the holidays. I absolutely adored it. Thank you, Patricia. And Patricia has a YouTube channel as well. I'm going to link all of her information down in the description below. I'm going to add a link to her website. I'm going to add links to both of her books, also to her YouTube channel. I really think you should check her out. She's a lot of fun. And she just released a new book in the Sam Shovel Mystery Series, and that is Murder on the North Pole Express. It just came out a week or so ago, and I snatched it immediately. I didn't care what the price was. I didn't look at anything like that. I'm just like, I'm owning that right now because I know I want to read it. If I finish my other books with time left over at the end of December, I am going to be reading the sequel as soon as I possibly can. So I hope you will check Patricia Meredith out. Read this book, guys. You will be glad that you did. And that's all I have to say about this book for now. Let me know in the comments if you've read it, what you thought about it. Or if you haven't read it, let me know if you plan to read it now since you've heard my review. I think everybody who loves the holiday season would really enjoy this little book. So let me know in the comments below. And until next time, guys, make sure you read more books. I will talk with you very soon. And I'd like to give a huge shout out to my patrons. I really appreciate all you do to support my channel.